Hi everybody, we're at the wonderful All-Star Bar here in Port Charlotte with another episode of the Charlotte County Musician Factory. They have bands here Tuesday through Saturday, and they have two stages, one in there and one over here, and I'll be lucky enough to grace that Tiki Bar stage on January 8th. Handsome fellas. We'll see you inside. Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Charlotte County Musician Factory. My name is Joe Garzo from History Services. And I'm here today with the great Jack Mosley.
Legend of all mine.
Yes. And we are on the stage at the All-Star Sports Grill. They have two stages here and they have music every night, Tuesday through Saturday. In fact, I'll be here on January 8th, which is also known as Elvis's birthday.
All right. Hey, if I'm not booked, I'm going to stop by and check it out.
I bet you're booked. Well, anyway, we're here with Jack and we're going to get to know him a little bit. First thing I'm going to ask you is, when did you first start playing music?
First started playing music in the 6th grade in elementary band. I played a smokestack baritone.
Oh, okay.
It was as big as I was, literally.
Okay.
And then I got my first guitar. My great-grandmother got it for me. She raised me, and she paid 12 books of green stamps for it back in 1971.
Okay.
And,
how old were you then?
I was 12.
12, that's a good time to start.
You know,
Excellent.
and yeah, so that's basically it in a nutshell.
What kind of guitar?
Oh Lord, there's no telling.
Oh, okay, it didn't have a name?
It had no name on it. It had nylon strings. It cost 12 books of green stamps, and that's.
So did you know you wanted to be a musician at that young age?
Oh yeah, yeah. I had figured that part out. I had seen the Beatles at that point.
I was going to ask you, what made you want to be a musician? Was it the Beatles?
The Beatles, and the first song that really impacted me as a child was an old song by the Royal Guardsmen out of Ocala, that Snoopy versus the Red Baron.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, and I was just learning to read,
Right.
at 6, years old, and that was the only thing I could read was the comic strips, and so I was all about Snoopy. And then my sisters came down to visit. They had that 45, and I wore that thing out.
I had that 45 too. I had no idea they were from Ocala. Really?
Yeah, the Royal Guardsmen are from Ocala, Florida.
Wow. Did you live in Florida all your life?
I grew up in Panama City.
Okay.
That's my hometown.
Okay.
And I left in the 70s, joined the Navy, and then bounced around, Atlanta, Houston, and eventually Nashville.
Okay. And when did you move here?
Moved back down to Florida in 1999.
Okay. So, any first music teacher that you remember that
I
inspired
remember
you?
my junior high school band teacher,
Okay.
and mainly because he would never let us use, any of the little flip music things. We had to memorize
Whoa.
Wow. everything we were doing, and to this day I still do that. I don't use an iPad. I don't use cheat sheets. I don't use any of that.
You're just like me. I feel the same exact way. I always try to memorize. I've got little games in my head to help me memorize things. I don't know how many times ABE, Abe comes up, but anyway, that's good to know, because a lot of people do use those nowadays, and I guess you got to do what you got to do.
I just don't feel like you can really communicate with your audience
Right.
if you're sitting there having to stare at an iPad or
It's true.
or lyric sheet or
Exactly.
something like that.
I know. I feel this exact same way. That's excellent. So, did you start a band when you were young?
I didn't have a band when I was young. My earliest influences were all the old great singer-songwriters like Harry Chapin and Jim Croce, the singer-songwriters from the 70s.
Right.
And when I got my guitar, I just assumed I had to start writing my own songs because they were writing their songs, and that's what I wanted to do.
So you started writing songs at a young age? Right?
Oh yeah, I was writing songs by the time I was 14.
14. Wow, that's great. Yeah. I feel like I was a late bloomer. I think I wrote my first when I was 17. So.
Oh, okay.
But
I was on a mission.
so you did. So your first gig was a solo gig then?
Yes, it was. It was at a little place in Mexico Beach, Florida, called the Wonder Bar, set right on the Gulf of Mexico. And,
Okay.
And I got the gig because I talked the guitar player into let me borrow his Les Paul and sing this new song that had just come out called "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald."
Oh wow, it's a great song. You really do like the '70s singer-songwriter stuff.
Gordon Lightfoot was a huge impact on me.
Yeah, he's excellent.
And he, so I sang the song while they were on break, and the manager, I was 16. And the manager came over and said, "Hey kid, you don't suck.
Wow.
You want to come in and sing for us on Sunday afternoon?" So Sunday afternoon, I was back in there with a borrowed PA system and and an electric guitar, because that was we didn't have these great acoustic electric guitars that we
Right.
have now
Yeah.
back in those days. So I did my first gig with the borrowed Les Paul and PA system.
That's excellent. That's such a young age to get started. You were very lucky to do that. And
Yeah,
well,
I
I
very
started
was.
out with a band. You can always kind of hide behind other musicians when you're in a band, but doing that solo, naked and alone, that's pretty impressive. So who were you mentioned those as your influences? Were there any others?
Well, Dan Fogelberg, Jimmy Buffett,
okay.
Mainly the singer-songwriters.
Okay.
From the '70s. As far as bands go, this will be kind of weird. My favorite band is Pink Floyd.
Okay. That's nothing
Yeah.
weird about that. A lot of people like them.
It's kind of a jump from Harry Chapin to Pink Floyd sometimes.
Okay, I want to do a juxtaposition now. What was your most favorite performance that you ever did?
My most favorite performance.
Or maybe you opened up for somebody you like?
Well, I've opened up for Tanya Tucker and Bad Company and and some other things. But the favorite thing that I've ever done was I recorded an album in Memphis, and we had bass player Leland Sklar and
From-
Paul Lime on the drums.
Wow.
Paul Lime played the drums on the original Star Trek bar scene.
That's right. That's
And
great.
we just had these great musicians. Larry Byron from Steppenwolf played guitar on it.
Where in Memphis did you record?
It was recorded at the House of Blues studio in Memphis.
Okay. I'm reading a book about Alex Chilton right now from the Box Tops.
Yeah.
And he worked with Stax, I guess at Stax Records. So I was wondering if you crossed paths with any of those folks.
No, when we were there recording, we were in the studio, from morning to night,
Okay.
and didn't really get a chance to get out and do much besides go to the Commodore.
What did you call that band?
It's just Jack Mosley.
Okay, so it's always been the Jack Mosley band.
Yeah,
then.
it's just it's always me. I write the songs and
So you prefer working that way?
yeah. There's less question of leadership and
Right.
and what we're doing.
So I
Don't
guess-
ask me, ask Jack.
So I guess that my other question for you is, what qualities do you find best in a bandmate, in other fellow musicians?
Someone who could think on their feet
Right.
is really important for me, because I'll write a song and we'll be at a gig somewhere and I'll say, hey guys, I got a new song, it's in G, it goes like this.
Right.
And you got to be able to think on your feet pretty quick
That is
in those situations.
That is a good thing. I've had both types that aren't good at doing that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
people that are really good at doing
Yeah,
that. So.
if they're not good, it's going to be a train wreck.
Okay, and so we asked you about one of your finer performances. What is one of the worst experiences you ever had on stage?
Worst experience. I mean, I've been doing this for 45 years. That's
Bottles being thrown at you.
me, a buddy and I, we were in Texas, had a duo
Yeah.
together, and we got booked into this bar in I think it was Port something, Texas, down around
Port
Houston.
Arthur?
Port Arthur.
That's
yeah.
where Janis Joplin's from, right?
Yeah. And we pulled up, and had kind of a dicey looking place, and we
been
opened
there.
the door and looked in, and we just closed the door and left.
Oh, really? Wow,
It was
that's-
that scary.
I'm always willing to roll the dice, even if it means bottles being thrown at my head.
I'm very averse to pain.
Okay, cool. Excellent. So let's talk about your creative process. A lot of people ask this question: words or music first?
Both at the same time.
Okay. So it's about 50-50.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be I'll start working on a chord progression, and then start painting the words over that.
Right.
Sometimes I'll get an idea for a song, in my head, and I'll write it while I'm driving down the road, get it all worked out, and then come home, break out the guitar,
Right.
and figure out if what I had in mind really works.
You mentioned your first song you wrote was when you were 14.
Yeah.
What inspired it, and what was it about?
A girl.
Of course. There you go, kids.
Just got my heart broken, and
Yeah.
growing up in Panama City, the beach and the ocean and sailing and all things Florida, that's just part of my DNA. So I remember the opening lines of that very first song was the waves roll in and hit the shore.
Oh, okay.
And it was written. I was sitting on top of a sand dune in St. Andrews State Park in Panama City, with just me and my little guitar. At that point, I graduated. I now had an Epiphone.
Wow.
Steel string guitar. Yeah.
Well, now you've obviously got a doctorate because you got the Taylor going. So you take from your environment. Is that what your creative process involves?
Yeah, it's songs about life.
Right.
Mark Twain said, "Write it about what you know,"
Right.
and so I try to do that.
Yeah,
And,
it definitely feels more honest when you write
Right.
what you know, of course. And do you keep a pen by your bedside if you wake up in the middle of the night?
No, I get out of bed, put on my house robe, go to the studio, and sit down out there. And I've got a computer. Everybody's got a computer studio
Right,
now.
yeah, nowadays.
And so I've got a nice little outbuilding out behind my house.
Oh, that's cool.
And I just go out there and. I've done it, many times.
Right.
I'll go to bed early, think I'm going to behave, and go to bed early, and I get to thinking about a song, and next thing I know, I'm getting up and heading out to the studio, saying, "Honey, I'm going out to the studio. I'll be back in in a little while."
Right. So did you do you have a family as well?
No, wife,
Okay. She's got to be cool with everything you do, right?
most of the time.
Okay. How busy are you usually?
I leave Port Charlotte, Inglewood area around the middle of May and go out on tour.
Oh, okay.
And last year I did 17,000 miles in 4 months.
Oh, wow.
And just bounce on. Played from here all the way out to Fresno, and
Okay.
and then back into Maine, and all over the country.
So you go to California all the way to Maine and then back down here?
That's
That's
generally I come up Florida, head west, I-10, I-20, somewhere
Okay.
around there, out to California, then up into gone up into Seattle and done shows up there, and then take 80 back across. The
Did you do it all by yourself?
Yes.
You book all the shows yourself?
Yes, I book all the
So you don't
shows.
have a booking agent. Wow, that's cool. It's a lot of works, folks. I
is.
did that for several bands, and it is a lot of fun. It's very admirable to be able to do that. So tell me about the record company out of Nashville.
It's MFG Records, which stands for Music for Grown Ups.
Okay, music for grown-ups. There you go.
And I've known Dave Sines and Beth Travers for 30 years now.
Okay.
And Beth lived in this area a long time ago.
Right.
And she and Dave bought a house down here, and they had just started MFG Records and asked me if I'd be interested in
Cool.
in being on the label. And I like it because it leaves the creative process mainly with the artists.
Of course. That's that's invaluable. You can't even put a price tag on that.
No, and whenever I've got enough songs,
Right.
I just book the studio, and we'll fly down guitar players or somebody from Nashville if,
Okay.
If there's a specific type sound
Right.
I'm looking for that they can provide. But generally we bring in studio cats from Nashville.
Okay. So everything you down, he told me before the interview that he had the Jack Mosley band, but when the pandemic broke out, they kind of stopped playing. He's more of a solo artist now. So, before all that happened, did you use the guys in the Jack Mosley band for your recordings? as
Yes,
well?
I did.
Okay.
Sure did. There was Rick Renberg, and he had a stroke several years back and is no longer able to play. Bill Paulman, Mark White, Alan Chase,
Okay.
on the drums, and we just get together and sometimes I take them up to Nashville to record there
Okay.
because they really know what they're doing.
Which studio in Nashville?
We were at what was the name of that? I can't remember. Bayou Studios.
Okay, Bayou Studios. Excellent.
Right down there on 16th Avenue.
And when you record down here, where do you record?
Now I record at Dave and Beth's studio.
Oh, okay.
Because they've got all the stuff. I've got stuff I can do a decent demo, at home.
I'll have to check them out sometime. I'll have to go
Oh
over to
yeah,
their house.
you really got to check
Maybe
out the
around
studio.
dinner time.
That's always a good time to show up.
Okay, so MFG, they help you out with distribution and stuff?
We're working on that. The label's growing. We just hired some people to help with marketing and distribution.
Okay. Well, we're going to have him play a song now. And I was going to ask you, while he turns it, you can tell us about the guitar you're playing. And this Taylor, it looks really nice.
Oh, this is my girl here. something happened to one of my old guitars, and I had to have a guitar, so I went up to Guitar Center and went into the acoustic room in there and opened it up and said, "Okay, one of you is coming home with me."
Is this
I use another adjective in there. So.
We have to keep it clean for the kids.
I understand. And
isn't it electric as well?
it's acoustic electric, but it does not have the cutaway. So I use this in the studio, and I use it in my live performances because it has the full body.
Yeah.
You know, and I believe the cutaway, affects the sound.
Affects the tone for sure.
You know, when you're recording.
Okay. Is there anything you want to tell us about the song you're about to play?
It's a brand new song. It is not. I've not recorded this one yet, but it's probably going to be the title track on my next CD.
Okay.
And it's called Carolina Blue.
Carolina Blue. Here you go, Mr. Jack Mosley.
It was a lifetime ago, and an ocean away. A single moment lost in time somewhere along the way. There was no chance life would let us dance beyond the appointed time. So we ran to the coast, making the most of that Carolina sky. We would walk all day along that deserted shore. Not another soul inside, our hearts were free to soar. Taking flight across the sky of that January day. On that Carolina beach we were out of reach, and the sky was the perfect shade. Carolina blue, Carolina blue, as the years go by. When I look at the sky, think of you. It makes me Carolina blue. Curled up in a sand dune, under a blanket of stars. The waves in the distance in perfect rhythm with two lost and lonely hearts. A price would be paid for the love that we made somewhere down the road. But right then and there, we just didn't care, if the truth be told. Carolina blue, Carolina blue, as the years go by. When I look at the sky, think of you. It makes me Carolina blue. We both knew the danger of falling fast and hard, but we both let go, and for a week we shone bright as a shooting star falling across the sky. Maybe that's why Carolina blue, Carolina blue, as the years go by. When I look at the sky, think of you. It makes me Carolina blue, Carolina blue, as the years go by. When I look at the sky, think of you. It makes me Carolina blue.
Great job, Jack.
Joe, thank you very
That
much.
was real pretty. Thank you very much,
appreciate
everybody.
that.
We'll see you next time
See you out there.
on CC Musician Factory. Good job, man.